Welcome back, Detroit sports fanatics, to my Detroit Sports Show. I'm Taylor Phillips. This is the Lions edition. If you want in the conversation, just call in at 646-478-4837. Again, that's 646-478-4837. You can mention me on, you can find me on Facebook, Taylor Phillips. You can find my sports page, Taylor Phillips' Detroit Sports page. And you can join in the group, Taylor Phillips' Detroit Sports Group. Also, mention me on Twitter at DT2Phillips, and connect with me on LinkedIn, Taylor Phillips, and connect with me on Google and YouTube. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, Taylor Phillips. Before we begin, here are the guidelines for all listeners of tonight's show. Again, number one, if you have called in, stay on the line. If you hang up by mistake, not a big deal, just call in again, 646-478-4837. Number two, keep it very clean. Number three, treat each other with respect. Number four, if you don't know much about Detroit sports, you can still just listen in. Stay on the topic with me and listen for any questions that I may ask. Okay, recapping Week 11 Lions at Steelers. The Lions only managed to score 3 points after giving up 14 to Pittsburgh in the first quarter, but then they managed to roll in the second quarter. They blasted the Pittsburgh offense with 24 points of their own, including 3 touchdowns and another field goal. And at halftime, it looked like the Lions had momentum, but the rain kept coming down, which was pretty good football weather, and not an excuse either. But the Lions were still unable to score a point at all in the second half, the third quarter or the fourth quarter, and they coughed up the lead and lost 37-27. They tried to fake a field goal at one point in the second half. That was Jim Schwartz's decision, and it backfired. Sam Martin made no mistake trying to fake the hold for kicker David Akers, and he tried to carry it himself, which was the biggest mistake, the biggest part of that mistake, or the worst if you prefer. And after the game, at the post-game press conference, Jim Schwartz stated he and his players were trying to be aggressive, and I thought he was wrong. That fake field goal was just another horrible call, and that wasn't aggressive. If you want to fake a field goal, make sure you find Calvin Johnson open and pass it to him. Otherwise, just hold it for David Akers so he can kick it through the uprights. It's that simple. Because one way or another, you have to put more points on the board. But they didn't. And that's just, you know, Sam Martin is not a quarterback at all. He's just a punter. That's all he is. At least he can tackle players opposing players at times that can run the ball down the field, down the gridiron, and but that's pretty much it. And that was the part that cost the Lions the game. And I think that came early in the third quarter, after the Lions led 27 to 20 at halftime. Steelers kicked in a field goal in the third quarter, and then they kicked another and then scored two big key touchdowns to come up with another win. The Steelers now have 4 wins and 6 losses. They're coming on strong. I have to admit, the Steelers are, especially at home in Pittsburgh. But I think the Lions gave that win to Pittsburgh with that backfiring fake field goal play call by Jim Schwartz, who even I would criticize in the head coaching department, and both Schwartz and offensive coordinator Scott Linehan are to blame on the Lions team for that play call, and that's definitely not the first coaching mistake that Schwartz and Linehan had made together. If they keep making coaching mistakes that could very well cost them the season, cost them the playoffs, a trip to the playoffs, then it's time to give Schwartz and Linehan each a pink slip. You know, fire them, terminate them. Just 8 minutes into the show here, if anybody wants to join in on the conversation on the Detroit Lions, just call in at 646-478-4837. Again, that's 646-478-4837. My Facebook is Taylor Phillips. Also search Taylor Phillips's Detroit Sports page and Taylor Phillips's Detroit Sports Group. Search me on Twitter at DT2Phillips and tweet me with an opinion. Also, I'm on LinkedIn, Google, and YouTube, Taylor Phillips. Subscribe and connect. There's also a chat window on blogtalkradio.com, so you can comment your opinions on there. So, fast forwarding to yesterday, every single player on the Detroit Lions team participated in practice. And I think that even included Montel Owens, their special running back and wide receiver on offense on special teams, who was recently put on long-term injury reserve. If the Lions were to make Montel Owens practice, then they would probably list him as either doubtful or questionable. We have no word right now. We have no word on Montel Owens, but we do have word on at least a few players. Starting with Calvin Johnson and Nate Burleson. So let's move on to the injury report. Megatron, Burleson, and Ziggy Ansah at defensive end and Bill Bentley at defensive tackle are all listed as probable. So they just had to officially list the coaching staff and the administration that still had yet to list them as probable, because we knew that those Lions players were definitely ready to play in this Sunday's contest at home against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which will begin this Sunday at 1 at Ford Field on your local Fox affiliate. As you could, and I'm turning over the Michigan State game, which just concluded, and the Spartans come out victorious here. An easy win over Virginia Tech, 96-77. Yeah, 96-77. The Spartans beat the Hokies in the second round of the Coaches versus Cancer Classic tournament. But back to the Lions. That was a little. I went a little off the record there, only because I had to. Just to give you guys a Detroit sports update, because this is Taylor's Detroit Sports Show. I have to stick with one topic on one team, but I can give updates on other teams if and when I want to, just as long as they are related to Detroit sports. So back to the Lions injury report. Running back Joyke Bell, Israel Adonijah, and safety Glover Quinn are all listed as questionable. And as I mentioned before, Montel Owens has recently been put on long-term injury reserve. So I'm going to go ahead and preview this upcoming game against the Bucs. The Buccaneers are actually coming off a win, but still have a very horrible record. They are 1-9 thus far overall. But one advantage they do have is their rushing offense. They have blockers out in front from the I formation, and they give the running backs a lot of room, a lot of running room up the middle. A lot of times. So going to the article on prideofdetroit.com, clearly the Bucs are doing something right with their run blocking. Nick Fairley has noticed. So what does Tampa Bay run that gives their running backs so much room to operate? The Bucs employ a fullback in their offensive formations more than maybe any team in the league. The fullback position may be more and more of an anachronism in today's NFL, but then again, so is Schiano, or Schiano, however you pronounce that. He's an old school coach who is going to run hard-nosed schemes and attack the line of scrimmage. Victory formation antics aside, it works, and for those of us with fond memories of the Corey Schlesinger era, the Bucs' run scheme is enjoyable to watch. So the Bucs' offensive lines up in the I formation, the letter I formation, with two tight ends. and not an eye-shaped oval or an eye, which is part of your face or whatever. It's the letter I. You know, like how Sesame Street promotes letters, the letter I. I forget. Never mind. Just the letter I. I used to watch that when I was a kid, by the way. So anyway, again, the Bucs line up in the I formation with 2 tight ends. It's a pretty standard look for them. A lot of their rushing success with Rainey, and thus their play action success against Atlanta came out of variations of the I. They offset the fullback a lot as well. The Bucs run a power blocking scheme out of this look. Basically, the idea here is to get as many blockers as possible to the point of attack before the defense can compensate. The left side of the Bucs offense line, right side of your screen, blocks down on defenders. Meanwhile, Facebook comes out, the fullback, pardon me, comes to kick out the outside linebacker, and the backside guard pulls to take out the inside linebacker. With all play side defenders accounted for, Rainey hits the hole and picks up an easy 9 yards. At one point, Tampa Bay ran power for 3 consecutive plays against the Falcons. Granted, they were ahead big at the time, but it's hard to ignore that trend, particularly when it works so well. Tampa Bay's run game up the middle similarly relies on the fullback. So we're just a little over halfway through this show. I am also still simulcasting on YouTube via Google. Search me on there, Taylor Phillips, and connect and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Again, the Bucs are in the I formation, this time with a single tight end. The Bucs are going to run a full back ISO off centered to the left here. The left tackle takes on the outside linebacker, while the guard blocks the 3 technique over his outside shoulder. The center and the right guard double team the 1 technique over the middle, leaving the fullback one-on-one with the play side linebacker. And if anybody wants to join in the conversation, just dial this number 646-478-4837. Again, that's 646-478-4837. The play is blocked well, but Rainey actually ends up making this happen. Like Martin, Rainey is a short, compact running back at 5'8", 212. Because of that size, he tends to get lost in the mix a little bit when he hits the line of scrimmage. As he gets to the hole, the backside inside linebacker comes over the fullback, expecting Rainey to follow him. Instead, the inside linebacker gets washed into the mix, and Rainey has an easy cutback. Just look at that hole for a 7-yard gain. Rainey's not shy about cutting back across the play, and he has a quick step that lets him change direction faster than most linebackers. He gashed Atlanta on a number of cutbacks early in last week's game, and as a result, the Falcons linebackers became more hesitant to hit the hole. As it turns out, their adjustments didn't really matter. So the Bucs are going to run an identical play, a similar play. Again, Rainey follows his fullback into the hole. The backside inside linebacker, number 55, for Atlanta, however, slows his pursuit to the hole in anticipation of the cutback. Rainey squirts out of the gap between his fullback and left guard, while the backside linebacker accounts for the huge lane on his side. One missed tackle later, Rainey is in the open field where he takes it 43 yards to pay dirt. You can't really fault number 55 here. I mean, look at that cutback lane. We can harp on gap integrity as much as we want, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you can't get off your blocks. Tampa Bay punished Atlanta at the line of scrimmage last week. Rainey deserves some credit for their success. He slipped his fair share of tackles, but it seemed like every one of those attempts came 4 yards past the line of scrimmage. Willie Young, Devin Taylor, and Ziggy Ansah have all held their own against the run this season, to say nothing of DeAndre Levy and Stephen Tulloch's recent success. So you'd have to think that this matchup plays to the Lions' strengths, given their recent success, Detroit's. If the contest becomes Mike Glennon versus the Lions, I like the Lions' chances. But to get to that point, the Lions are going to need to stand firm against the Greg Schiano power running game. So look for the Lions' defensive line to, as well as the secondary, to help the defense out against Tampa Bay's wicked offensive line and their running back. And that's Bobby Rainey. Their quarterback is Mike Glennon. So, moving on paper, just about 8 minutes left on the show. The Lions' passing offense is ranked 3rd, and the Bucs' passing defense is 18th, which is a little average, a little below. I think the Lions' passing offense will do just fine, just as long as they keep catching the football, and that Matthew Stafford's throws stay on target for the receivers, and that they're good enough, like spirals. You know, it's professionalism. It's the NFL. The Buccaneers are actually 2-8 as they come into Ford Field. The Lions are 6-4, tied with the Bears for first place in the NFC North, while the Packers, their Thanksgiving opponent this upcoming Thursday, are 5-3 in 3rd place. Normally I'd like to say 2nd place, but I have to be proper about this, orderly proper about this. So the Lions' running offense is ranked 21st. And by the way, there was an article that I read about Reggie Bush's recent fumbles, and Reggie Bush saying that he will never fumble or lose the ball again. And let's just make sure that Reggie Bush takes better care of the football as he runs, as he takes it down the gridiron. And I know he can run a lot of yards. He can gain a lot of yards running the football down the field. And in fact, the On Paper article says the Lions may get a boost as Nate Burleson, their wide receiver, is expected back this week. Just make sure that car accident stuff never happens again. Just please be safe on the roads. guys, Lions players. Player to watch, Darrelle Revis. At cornerback for Tampa Bay. 5'11", 198. 2007 draft pick, first round draft pick by the New York Jets. An Aliquippa, Pennsylvania native, 5 seasons in the NFL, 27 years old. His play has improved as the season has gone on and his knee injury becomes less of an issue. Calvin Johnson has seen 12 or more targets in every game in the past 4 weeks, so Revis will undoubtedly get tested as he tries to cover Megatron. The advantage in the Lions' passing offense versus the Bucs passing defense goes to the Lions by 1.5 points. They think the Lions are a bit overrated when it comes to their passing offense, but the Bucs aren't a huge threat to hold them down this week. They think it's fair to assume the Lions will perform somewhere near their season averages. They can live with 310 yards and a 91 passer rating. The Lions run offense at 21st ranked offense versus the Buccaneers' 9th ranked run defense. The players to watch are Gerald McCoy, a defensive tackle for Tampa Bay, drafted by those Bucs 3 years ago in the first round, 6'4", 295, just a couple seasons. The advantage will go to the Bucs by 0.5 point. The Bucs passing offense ranked 30th versus the Lions' 30th ranked passing defense. Kind of like usual, right? Vincent Jackson's the player to watch. The Lions may get Bill Bentley this week. Vincent Jackson is 6'5", 230 from Colorado Springs, Colorado, drafted by the Chargers in 2005. The Bucs get a 0.5 point advantage there, and the Bucs run offense is ranked 13th. Lions run defense is ranked 5th. And the player to watch is our DeAndre Levy. Lions get the 0.5 point advantage. So they predicted a 10-point Lions victory. Oh, wait, that was last week.
90 seconds.
So they predict the Lions will win 24-23. I predict the Lions to beat the Buccaneers 27-20, as my time is just about up. And I have just finished covered all the ground here on my Detroit Sports Show.
60 seconds.
Tomorrow at midnight I will host the Red Wings edition. They finally got a win last Thursday night, thanks to Gustav Nyquist returning. So until then, this is Taylor Phillips signing off by saying TTFN, ta-ta for now.